Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to build out a seriously powerful SQL toolkit, specifically for support professionals. We're going to move way beyond the basic queries to help you find smarter, more proactive answers in your data. Honestly, it could totally transform how you approach your work.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on time-based queries. Then we'll learn how to create dynamic labels with something called a case statement. After that, we'll connect data across different tables using subqueries. And then, the best part, we'll put it all together to build an incredibly useful proactive support query.
You know, if you feel like you're writing the same simple select statements day in and day out, it's probably time to level up. These advanced techniques are going to let you answer the really complex, juicy questions your support team is actually asking. It's all about shifting your focus from just reporting on old problems to actively preventing new ones.
Okay, let's dive into our first tool. It's all about mastering time with dynamic date functions. The beauty of this is that it ensures your reports are always looking at the right time frame, the last 7 days, the last month, without you ever having to manually change a date. This frees you up to focus on the insights, not just tweaking the syntax.
And the heart of this magic is the date sub function. Just think of it like telling the database, hey, show me everything from the last 7 days. And the cool part? When you run that same exact query tomorrow, it automatically knows to show you the new last 7 days. It creates this sliding window that always keeps your data fresh. All right, here's a request that probably lands on your desk all the time. A manager needs a list of every single user who signed up in the last week. And you just know they're going to ask for it again next week and the week after that. So, instead of hard-coding a date that you'll have to change constantly, we use datesub combined with the now function. This query dynamically calculates the start date as exactly 7 days ago from the very moment you hit run. You can schedule this thing and it'll just work, always giving you the latest info. No more manual updates.
Now, here's a super important pro tip for performance. You want to avoid wrapping your column, in this case created at, in a function like date function. Think of a database index like the index in the back of a book. It lets the database find information super fast. But when you put a function on the column, the database can't use that index. It has to go page by page, reading every single row, which is way slower. The trick is to always compare the raw column to a calculated value.
Okay, so now that we can filter by time, let's talk about how we can categorize our data in interesting ways. We're going to use the case statement to add dynamic labels and business logic right into our query results. This is how you turn raw data into something truly meaningful.
The case statement is basically an if-then-else block that lives inside your query. It's awesome. It checks a bunch of conditions and then returns a specific value when a condition is true, letting you create these temporary labels for your reports without ever changing the original data in the table.
Let's look at a real-world support problem. Imagine you have a service-level agreement, an SLA, that promises a response within 10 hours. A manager wants a daily report that flags any open tickets that are getting dangerously close to that limit.
So at first, our ticket data is pretty straightforward. We've got an ID, a status, and when it was created. This is useful, sure, but it doesn't scream, hey, look at me, I need attention right now.
And here is how we use case to fix that. We're telling the query, okay, when a ticket is more than 8 hours old and its status is not resolved, then label it at risk. For everything else, just label it normal. And this creates a brand new temporary column called breach risk.
And boom, look at the result. The report now has this dynamic risk label. A support manager can just glance at this and immediately know which tickets need to be prioritized. We've turned a simple data table into actionable intelligence with just a few lines of SQL. So most of the really interesting questions we have require pulling data from multiple tables. Our third tool, the subquery, is what lets us do that. It completely unlocks a new level of analysis. A subquery is pretty much what it sounds like, a query inside of another query. We're going to use it with the exists operator, which is like asking the database a simple yes or no question. For this user, does at least one order exist? It doesn't care what the order was or how much it cost, just that it's there, which makes this method incredibly efficient.
This is a classic business question, right? You've got this giant table of all your registered users and another giant table of all the orders. How do you find the list of users who have actually bought something?
This query is just so elegant. What it does is, for each and every user in the users table, the subquery quickly peeks into the orders table to see if a matching record exists.
If it finds one, just one is enough. That user is included in our final results. It's a super clean and fast way to identify your active customer base.
Okay, time for the main event. Let's combine all three of these tools, our dynamic dates, our conditional case logic, and our subqueries to build a truly proactive support query. This is about getting ahead of problems before they even happen.
So here's the goal. We want to find and help users before they even have a chance to contact support. We're looking for people who are new to the platform but haven't taken a key action yet, like placing their first order. That's often a sign that they might be stuck or confused about something. We'll break it down into two simple, logical steps. First, we'll use our date sub function to grab that cohort of new users from the last 30 days. Second, we'll use a subquery to filter that list down, keeping only the people who have never, ever placed an order. And here it is, the final query. We use datesub to find all the recent signups. Then, we add a notExist subquery to filter for only those who have no orders. The result? A perfect, actionable list of users who might be struggling, allowing your support or marketing team to proactively reach out and offer a helping hand.
All right, let's just quickly run through the powerful new tools we've just added to your SQL arsenal. So you've now got the patterns for dynamic date filtering with datesub, so your reports are always up to date. You can create custom, on-the-fly labels with case to make your data way easier to analyze, and you know how to perform these super efficient relational checks with exists and not exists to connect data across your entire database.
You know, with these advanced techniques, you can really make that shift from just reporting on what happened in the past to asking proactive questions. You can start finding trends, identifying problems before they escalate, and ultimately provide way better support to your users. So what's the first question you're going to ask?